Good evening, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Russian President Vladimir Putin will pay a state visit to India from December 4th to attend the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit. Following the White House shooting incident, Trump administration to permanently pause migration from third world countries to also review asylum cases and green card issued under Biden administration. Death toll in the deadly apartment fire in Hong Kong rises to 128, hundreds still missing. And 56th edition of International Film Festival of India is set to conclude in Goa today with a gala closing ceremony. Russian President Vladimir Putin will pay a state visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During his two-day visit starting from December 4th, Russian President will attend the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit. President Putin will hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President Murmu will also receive her Russian counterpart and host a banquet in his honor. The forthcoming state visit will provide an opportunity for the leadership of India and Russia to review progress in bilateral ties, set the vision for strengthening special and privileged strategic partnership, and exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. In other news, US President Donald Trump has said his administration will work to permanently pause migration from what he termed third world countries to allow US system to fully recover. Trump also said on social media platform Truth Social that he will end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens, adding that he will denaturalize migrants who undermine the domestic tranquility and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. Trump has ordered a widespread review of asylum cases approved under former President Biden's administration and green cards issued to citizens of 19 countries following the death of a National Guard member on Thursday after being shot near the White House. Donald Trump had already called for the re-examination of all Afghan nationals who came to the US under his predecessor, saying that US needed to take measures to ensure the removal of anyone who does not add benefit to our country, according to a memo signed by Edlow. That order would apply to about 233,000 refugees who entered between January 20th, 2021 and February 20th, 2025. Healthcare is back in the spotlight in the United States, and disagreements over healthcare subsidies was at the center of the recent government shutdown too. Europe's healthcare model often receives much praise. Could US learn the European systems? For more on this, we are joined by DW correspondent Wada Imran. Wada, let's start with the healthcare systems around the world. Is the US the most expensive system?
Thank you for having me. Yes, it would appear that the US has the most expensive health system in the world. That's according to an OECD health research. It is still way more expensive than Switzerland, which ranks second as the most expensive system. So experts say that on one hand, the cost in the US for people and government and health insurers alike is so high is because it provides world-class services and high levels of innovation. However, what's really important is to outline how these world-class services come at a very high cost, which many in the US cannot afford to pay. The vast disparities and quality of healthcare is not the same for everyone, and especially not for poorer people. Often this can include the African Americans or Latinos living in the US. Another reason healthcare is so pricey in the United States is because of the high premium and prices set by insurers. And there is a little transparency on how these prices are set. It's led by the US market mechanism, which encourages an individual to be responsible for their own life. And it treats healthcare as a market good. That's according to a senior public health professor DW spoke to.
Okay, let's turn to the European models. Can you tell us about the healthcare in different countries, in Europe in particular?
Well, in Europe, healthcare is widely seen as a social right. It's something people must always have access to. There is a philosophy of sorts behind this that doesn't treat health as a market good, but as a universal good. Now, Europe has two models that it draws inspiration from. One is called the Bismarck model, and it was developed here in Germany in the 1800s. And it's the first social health insurance system in the world. It includes mandatory contributions from employees and employers alike. And the other model that a lot of European countries draw inspiration from is the Beveridge model proposed by the UK. And this is where healthcare is funded by taxes. This is also similar to what is the state of the NHS today. But most European countries adopt a mix or a hybrid version of these two models. Italy, for example, has the SSN, which is tax-funded like the UK's NHS, and it's universal for citizens and legal residents. Spain is similar, mostly tax-based and free for most services. Czech Republic has a more German-inspired model, where it's universal, but people have to enroll in it.
And finally, what are the pros and cons of the mandatory health insurance model like in Germany?
So when you tie health insurance to mandatory contributions, even I've been paying for health insurance since the day I arrived here in Germany, it ensures that all residents are covered. There is little risk of being uninsured and hence being denied health care. Contributions are not income-based and not risk-based, meaning those who are sick or vulnerable don't have to pay more. Health insurance here also covers sick leave, prescriptions, hospital treatments, and surgeries. But all that shines isn't gold. And the pitfall of the German system is that this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of a system. It requires strong regulation and coordination across the payers and providers. And another con is that an aging population and medical advances lead to higher contribution rates, which can be challenging for many people here.
Wartha Imran, thank you. Moving on, the death toll in the deadly apartment fire in Hong Kong has risen to 128 on Friday. The firefighting operations were wrapped up on Friday after the blaze in all 7 apartments were extinguished. The government mobilized some 1,000 policemen for rescue efforts. 12 firemen were also injured during the rescue operations, including one reported in serious condition. Families could be seen scrambling to identify their loved ones in the hospitals, as over 200 are still missing in the aftermath. Investigations show that the fire alarms in the affected buildings were not operating properly. Authorities are investigating the cause of the deadly fire, as arrests are being made on the basis of findings during investigations. Some weather updates now. Cyclone Ditwa continues to hammer Sri Lanka with relentless rains, landslides and rising floodwaters, pushing the death toll to 56, with 21 people still missing. Heavy rains continue to disrupt transport, with major roads in Colombo flooded and sections of the Southern Expressway restricted. Multiple flights, including Sri Lankan airline services, have been diverted to Trivandrum, Cochin and Matala due to poor visibility. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has directed officials to carry out rescue and relief work without delay, releasing 1.2 billion Sri Lankan rupees in immediate funding and setting aside 30 billion Sri Lankan rupees under 2025 budget for emergency response. A new circular has been issued to bypass administrative delays, while a dedicated coordination unit and 10 emergency hotlines have been activated at Defence Headquarters. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed solidarity with Sri Lanka today as the island faces widespread destruction from Cyclone Ditwa. In a message on social media, Prime Minister Modi conveyed his thoughts and prayers for all those affected and pledged India's support for the ongoing rescue and relief operations. PM Modi said India has urgently dispatched relief materials and vital humanitarian assistance and disaster relief support under Operation Sagar Bandhu. He added, guided by India's neighbourhood first policy and vision Mahasagar, India continues to stand firmly with Sri Lanka in its hour of need. The gesture follows urgent plea for international assistance by Sri Lankan authorities, who are dealing with a mounting death toll of 56. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced or affected as heavy flooding that has crippled infrastructure across many districts. In response, the Indian government, through its naval asset INS Vikrant, which is currently docked at Colombo port, has already deployed helicopters and provided essential relief materials and rescue equipment to aid humanitarian efforts. Meanwhile, the city and coastal Tamil Nadu are on high alert as Cyclone Ditwa, which rapidly intensified over Bay of Bengal near Sri Lanka on Thursday, barrels towards the North Tamil Nadu coast. The India Met Department has escalated warnings to red alert for Delta districts including Thanjavur, Thiruvarur, Nagapattinam and Mayiladuthurai on November 28th and 29th, signalling potential flash floods and disruptions. Chennai and neighbouring districts remain under an orange alert for heavy to very heavy rains. The cyclone, moving north-northwest at 13 km per hour, is projected to reach Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, South Andhra Pradesh coast by November 30th, marking the third post-monsoon storm this season after Cyclone Senior. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin reviewed preparedness, directing departments to coordinate relief efforts. Fishermen have been barred from sea voyages until December 1st, while NDRF teams in Ranipet are equipped with rubber boats, sniffer dogs and cutting tools. Schools and colleges in red alert zones may be shut with holiday declarations likely. NDRF has been on high alert as Cyclone Ditwa in anticipation of a northeast monsoon and the impending impact of the cyclone. The National Disaster Response Force in Arakonam has ramped up its preparedness with extensive precautionary measures. 10 specialized teams encompassing 30 personnel each are on standby, ready to respond swiftly in case of emergencies. The death toll from floods across large swaths of Southeast Asia rose to at least 319 on Friday, with authorities working to rescue stranded citizens, restore power and communications and coordinate recovery efforts as the waters begin to recede. The death toll from floods and landslides on the Indonesian island of Sumatra Island has risen to 174, up from previous 94, while dozens of people are still missing. Communications remain down in some parts of the island. Authorities were working to restore power and clear roads that have been blocked by landslide debris. The spokesperson for Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency shared these updates. Indonesia will continue to airlift aid and rescue personnel into stricken areas on Friday. Meanwhile, the Thai government said 145 people had been killed by floods across 8 southern provinces. In the southern city of Hat Yai, the hardest hit part of Thailand, the rain had finally stopped on Friday, but residents were still ankle deep in flood waters. Many remained without electricity as they assessed the damage done to their property over the last week. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Prime Minister Modi greets Indian women's blind cricket team in New Delhi after the historic win at the T20 World Cup. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh delivers remarks at Chanakya Defence Dialogue 2025. India's real GDP grows 8.2% in the July-September quarter of the current financial year over the growth rate of 5.6% in the same quarter in the previous fiscal.
For the longest time, we treated the Earth's resources as endless. But now the real challenge is to rethink how we use what we already have, because how we manage the environment's resources will dictate our chances of survival.
He applied finely crushed basalt rock on 2 of his 4 fields and says the difference is clear to see.
It's like a window of opportunity. For every hour we are working with this project,
The pumped groundwater is first filtered. Then it goes into a tank and is filtered again. After that, it is collected in this tank where people can access it.
We have been making handicrafts from banana plants for quite some time now. Currently, we produce around 30 products.
You're watching DT India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting the Indian state of Goa on Friday to participate in the 550th year celebrations of Sri Samsthan Gokuram Parthagali Jivottam Mutt on the occasion of Sarda Pancha Manotsav. Prime Minister Modi also unveiled a 77-feet statue of Sri Ram made of bronze at the Mutt and inaugurated Ramayan theme park garden. On the occasion, Prime Minister addressed the gathering and released a special postal stamp and a commemorative coin to mark the occasion. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi visited the Sri Krishna Mutt in Udupi district of Karnataka to offer prayers. PM Modi also participated in a Lakshakantha Gita Pranayana program. He was felicitated by the head priest of the Mutt, Sugunendra Swami. Prime Minister Modi recited verses from the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. On the occasion, Prime Minister also addressed the event, starting his address in Kannada. He said it is a moment of great satisfaction to visit this holy land, and the honor he has been accorded with has added to his responsibilities. PM also inaugurated Suvarna Tirtha Mantapa located in front of Krishna Sanctorum and dedicated the Kanaka Kavach for the sacred Kanakanakindi. A huge crowd had gathered to greet Prime Minister during the roadshow. People showered petals on Prime Minister, who returned their gesture by waving at them. President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated Brahma Kumari's annual event for 25-26 themed Meditation for World Unity and Trust in Lucknow on Friday. Governor of Uttar Pradesh Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath attended this event as chief guests. The dignitaries also planted a Parijat sapling in the premises of the centre. Later in the day, President Murmu attended the valedictory session of the Diamond Jubilee celebrations of Bharat Scouts and Guides in the city. The closing ceremony is being held in Lucknow after a gap of more than 6 decades. On the second day of the Chanakya Defence Dialogue in the national capital, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh addressed the event. In his address, the minister said India's economic growth, technological capabilities and principled foreign policy has made it a voice of the balance and responsibility in changing global environment, with countries across Indo-Pacific and Global South viewing India as a reliable partner.
In this changing global environment, India's place is also undergoing transformation. Our economic growth, technological capabilities, and principled foreign policy have made us a voice of balance and responsibility. Today, India is not standing on the margins of the global discussions. In fact, we are shaping them. And we do so with a sense of responsibility, a strategic autonomy, and a confidence rooted in our civilizational values. These days, countries across the Indo-Pacific and the Global South look to India as a reliable partner.
As part of the event, Minister Rajnath Singh launched key digitization and green initiatives, Project Ekam, a Prakshepan and AI handbook for military leaders. The minister also inaugurated Green Hydrogen Microgrid project. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh launched India's first indigenous defence AI as a service platform, Ekam AI, at Chanakya Defence Dialogue in Delhi on Friday. The highlight of this project lies in its ability to provide complete control over data security, tailored solutions to military terminology, operational doctrines, and specific data sets. The project developed the framework and platform for deployment and hosting of all open source and indigenous AI models running on state-of-the-art AI applications. Thus will be a game changer for defense forces. The platform has been developed by a startup for the Indian Army. DD India correspondent Vishal Barasto gets us more.
2025 is a year of reforms, and I have with me a startup company that has come up with a unique solution. The Defense Minister has unveiled their AI, which is called Ekam AI. And what is so special about it? Let's talk to Ushpinder first. Ushpinder, when we talk about the LLMs, for the benefit of our viewers, please explain LLM and how will it benefit Indian Army?
There was a challenge that was opened up by the Ministry of Defense under IDEX to create AI as a service. We participated in that, and we were the ones who won this competition as part of Ministry of Defense. The objective is how do you create large language models, small language models for the Indian Army, trained on Indian Army data on an air-gap system, right, where a Jawan sitting across the country who may want to need some help can run a simple query and get a response which is purely built, trained on the Army data. I just want to introduce Tarang, who's also a project lead for this, and she'll help you with more details.
So to say that how will it help the Indian Army is its decision making, its operational information flow will really be enhanced by the Ekam AI that we are bringing in, that Neuralink has brought in the ecosystem of the Indian Army. And furthermore, the automated workflows. So it goes down from every Jawan to the topmost hierarchy, that it will be useful at every level in the Indian Army.
Now, when we talk about the LLMs, ChatGPT is quite popular. So how is your Ekam AI different from ChatGPT?
What we are building is we are building a model right from the scratch, which will be trained on the Indian Army data. So to say, to put it as an example, whatever you ask from that model which we are creating, that's going to answer from the knowledge which pertains to the Indian Army itself. So there will be no external knowledge that will be keep shoving from the model and towards the user, especially the Army. Take the security as a consideration. What we do is the every data that we are using to train our model, that goes through a pipeline which is very secured. So we work on machines which are absolutely cut down from the internet. So there will be no access to the internet. So no data can just go to the internet, because we understand how critical the Army data can be. So there's an absolute process and SOP which we follow to maintain the criticality of the model, and that model will only answer related to the questions about the Indian Army. The other model is we are giving a marketplace for a bunch of applications where we are helping the Indian Army in day-to-day tasks such as creating PPT, creating documents, creating SOC for an Indian Army. So that task which would usually take 1 to 2 hours or 2 or 3 guys to complete, now using our models, they can just do it with a couple of minutes and with a couple of clicks.
So there you heard these young minds, they are all with new solutions. AI is the mantra, and we are looking forward towards the year of reforms, and more such inventions and innovations are expected. With cameraman Vimlesh in Delhi, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
The Indian economy's growth rate made a record in the second quarter of the ongoing financial year. The economy grew at the rate of 8.2% during July-September quarter. The first quarter growth rate was 7.8%. National Statistics Office of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation released the data on the quarterly estimates of Gross Domestic Product, GDP, for July-September quarter, that's quarter 2 for the current financial year 25-26, along with its expenditure components, both at constant of 2011-12 and current prices on Friday. Quarterly estimates of GDP are compiled using benchmark indicator method, that is, the estimates available for the same quarter of the previous financial year 24-25 are extrapolated using the relevant indicators reflecting the performance of sectors. In sports, Prime Minister Modi met the Indian women's blind cricket team in New Delhi after their historic win at the inaugural Blind Women's T20 World Cup. India remained unbeaten in the tournament and defeated Nepal by 7 wickets in the finals. Prime Minister praised the players for their hard work, courage and determination, saying that they had made their mark. He interacted warmly with the team, offered them sweets and signed a cricket ball. The players gifted him an autographed bat. Skipper Deepika TC and Vice Captain Ganga Kadam shared emotional moments from the meeting and their World Cup journey.